It's a familiar story of flooding, particularly in parts of Accra, Kaswa, and Kumasi after a heavy rainfall. It was 5 hours of rains on Saturday. My colleague Benjamin Akapo is back at Wager Barrier, where the place was essentially flooded on Saturday. What's the situation today? Benjamin, over to you.
Keep hitting year in, year out. It's June again, and most of the residents here are feeling the pinch when it comes to the rains. In fact, if you can see in your shot, this vehicle, this trotro right here, is stuck. On this stretch, there are a lot of sand piles, and this is one of them. This vehicle, attempting to swerve the traffic, actually got stuck in here, and that is what they are trying to remedy. The driver of that vehicle is right here, and we're going to briefly interact with him. Hello, morning.
Morning.
What's your friend?
Yeah, Kofi Buedu.
Kofi Buedu. Can una uchi?
Bacha miana mikita. Me na kwa we su de bia.
Uchi ka we ifia hini.
Me bichi ka na mikita ka ba ku me bichi 4 years. Ana ka na ni jimi na me de na ade koma no. Entuwe na sia no. Ba me na me minika. Entuwe na sia na me kofa me fa kra. For the say 2 months ni. Na me kwa me ye juma so 8 years.
Okay. Straight. 8 years one nam kwan way so no then ya amani hu be na ya muhu nsuo to ha sai na say
oh so to dia anya kula so to dia ya sem ya mobo bosu and dia no kreda ho dia no waka so to dia ya sem ya mobo be bia be fa bia kwa we dia so to dia ye kan kokra na ka ba traffic nko titiri so to dia hanu na atimi yiri fiti barrier ho no e ba no akakra ACC ahona atimi yiri bam unya bebi na wafa o ajiye na fa one way no so anum ya ka da san finfia bebi e hokra atimi yiri na ache sa na aka na nko na aka na ba traffic nko a ntisensuo no to na se wo kwam na wo fie dia ende ka se unya ndu fie
no wo sha dan ye betimi aya fa ho gata no nso no ayese akoye nsem bebre and also asembe na work from
gata ne de so mu mba mu no mu ntimi yiyi mu maye se na nsuo no to ebetimi nya kwan afem all right bola ne we no omo mu tututu bola gunsu gata mu no mu ho ma ese mu display omo esa na nsuo no to de ade bia e be mobo e wo kwa we so ene netie no na aka hwe bia nie
enti the wakano say wakano aka say na obeye ye free
isi an ye petrika no aba betweka na ma isi an ye ntimi ngase ye de ahodi pushi toika na se ye mpeno betweka ni fi o ma ti de wa ye betimi aka kire mu
yo Kofi Wedu ye da say wona ya twetwe nkomo. When we interacted earlier with some of the passengers in this vehicle who were leaving, a man who pleaded anonymity, he didn't want to interact with us live on television, indicated that he was very disappointed that year in, year out they were facing this problem and that leadership was not doing much about the situation. Let's move on and interact with some others who join us. Hello, morning.
Hello, big boss. Morning.
What's your saying?
I'm from Clement Jansen.
Clement. Now, also, what's not happening?
Oh, 20 years.
20 years?
Yeah.
And 20 years, no, then I tell who I have.
Oh, I had there since 2004. Oh, yeah, Kwawi. Saturday, I went to Sa. Bebe Nancy and I say problem we be about 8 years in a problem was I say a man also I see. First thing there not a problem name soon on by a corner gatan name so the call right. But say people in 1 hour more. Set them more hole in a bush. The sonator is so cool broadcast when you're not be pressing here small. The sonator is so cool bush, but this time around them. Or much sappy pony, I don't know, or much cake and one in so the top. A pushy and running now, my best fairly gatanum. Gatan, we are and I don't get I was a CSC. And as we say, I come say, Emusha. The sooner banner more than Gatana at the Hon. The Gatana Fana man, name sooner a day, a buafaso. The Amasa problem like a sewa, in sooner Gasana, in Sweat Dardida, Meme Bana in Sweat Dardida. Better on Moya Gatano, on Moya Quana Moya, in Sunum, on Brokuni Weno, at the toe, baby for a grand Gatano. I mean sooner Bano, as was saying, Gatana at the Hono. Say so my may say got away and I got a one beam amaya. Say when I debate me so for other. So we be got in mind. I said it me so for I see.
They are na ebi no so mo ka say mo leaders no MP na say for na o mo twem ha na nka den na mo person mo ye found.
Oh massa. I know they can e kwa we say ya be ma bu ya bre. because on offense or the convoy mu on can with any person a man could say convoy no what you say or what became ha no their motor in anim ye be man kwa na abese no ko on kan hwe let's for what be dina be to boy sani asa to man but mo nwin say ye kokromoti na ma om kotran ba bi om te no won ye tia ye bre mo ni so chi aka om fi yen na this time no obi aba fa no adwen wa ase
o ka so be fa ho adwen then important na person
oh say the be basa about to ba metri fi adwen me ho because me nto aba fa kokromoti ko po bi ba pa aduma ma ne papa nye no ne iri ni de na me no ha mu me no ka say nsu agura me fie me nyina gu table so
what e fa sai
me ti bro fat down ha ya nsu agura me fie me nyimi table me nyina gu table so one pino o ti isile go no enjoy u ka sam che o mu ntie o mu fie but next 4 years e be fa ho adwen wa ha sei pa
yo edi no sisu bio
Clement Ansa
yo yeah that's the one so that is Clement who has also been interacting with us. He lives around the block factory and he is saying that, in other words, this is a very sad situation that they've been experiencing for many years, and it keeps happening. Nothing is being done about the situation. You can see the gutter that he is talking about, and he says it's very small, and owing to that, because it is so constricted, the floodwaters can't go through them. They come out, they gush out, fill the streets, and of course there's a lot of sand in this area, so it creates the sort of situation that we are seeing now with that trotro that has actually got stuck. And the driver who was speaking to us earlier also spoke about the same situation. He says we keep facing this situation here year in and year out, and they want leadership to do something about the problem. You would also see here on this stretch as we approach the other side to the gutter, this huge pile of rocks. And if you come with me here, you would see part of the area where the floodwaters actually escape. Now you would see that there's supposed to be a sort of gutter. I don't know whether it's a full drain, but it goes in through this building, and it's just a little opening that you have over there. And so what you can see clearly is that since there is a very tiny hole on this, at the bottom of this drainage system, it would mean that should enough water fill this space, it would have to spill over back onto the stretch, onto the street, back around this area, creating a lot of flooding. And it's no wonder that this patch is still looking very wet, even after Saturday's rains. It's about 3 days on, but the stretch is still a bit wet and creating a situation which has actually let this trotro, or got this trotro stuck where it is. So that is the situation here. We are going to continue interacting with a number of residents on how exactly they feel about this. Those we've spoken to, including taxi drivers, say they've practically given up. Why? They are saying not much is done, that, media entities come every now and then, year in and year out, that even leadership, some people come to the area, but nothing is done. So that is where we are from Atala, right here on the old barrier, that is the Weja Old Barrier stretch.
Blocks essentially that you see in your shot, those are cements kicked after heavy downpour. They essentially couldn't do anything with those bags, and so they just had to crack them and lay them down as though they were stones being used to protect the place. That's a store that you see in your shot. They've lost a lot because of the rains. That's the situation at Weja Barrier. We also have pictures of that on myjoyonline.com, pictures of the situation when it was raining. Shot taken by David Ando, a man who is very familiar with the story because he lives just close by. And these were shots taken on Saturday whilst it was still raining. Some residents speaking to JoyNews in the process. So you'd see the place, 2 days after when there aren't rains, but you can even tell that that's a flood-prone area. So the situation on Saturday wasn't pleasant at all as our cameras captured it. That's what we're talking about, the flats, and it gets tiring because this is something that we talk about every day, each time when it rains, really. It's become an annual seasonal conversation, yet nothing happens there's no way to correct it. Is that what we're essentially saying, that there's no way around it? Because we seem to be reporting this. If you go back to 2020, the reports that we did, the stories we told around the same time, it's the same. You can use last year, 2 years, pictures of last year, 2 years, and use it for today, and you wouldn't be wrong, because nothing essentially has changed. Homes flooded, businesses flooded, and areas that weren't flooding before are now getting flooded each time when it rains, and it's getting terrible, really. It's not just the situation in Accra, in Kaswa, but also in Kumasi. The issue of flood is also disturbing many residents in Kumasi and business owners. So from Wager Barrier, Kaswa, we're going to be crossing over to Kumasi. My colleague Nanaya Ojima will be joining us with that story there, which really is also not pleasant. It's just similar to what we are witnessing here in Accra. So Nanaya Ojima is joining us. Nanaya, good morning, if you can hear me. Where exactly are you and what can you tell us?
We're here. It's the Pelele drain within the Awabo community. That Awabo is also in the Afrema constituency. So as you can see, this is one of the flood areas in the Ashanti region. We've over the years recorded a number of flooding incidents here, which is due to the situation in which you find this drain. Now, this drain traces to the airport runabout area. So the flood water, so the water from those areas comes through the drain to this point and continues to Oporikrom municipality. That is the Aranga Junction, to be specific. And this drain goes through the Kumasi and joins others to wherever it ends up. Now, the challenge with this drain is that, as you can see, it's filled with silt. So whenever it rains, due to the inability of the water to get its way through the drain, it fills up and it floods. Now, 100 meters along the drain, that's from both the right side and the left side, from where it starts from, that's the airport runabout area. Homes are put up along the drain, less than 100 meters, as the NADMU says it should be. So you have a number of people put along these areas, and this is one of the reasons why we have this drain flooding every year. Now, between June and July, or when the rains are about coming, the homeowners, or those who live along the drain, many of them are forced to relocate from this area. For instance, there is this building on my right. For a long time, there are people in the basement and also the first floor of the building. There are no people living there because of the fact that are being experienced here annually. Now, years back, after the NPP took office, the Aspermanpur Municipal Assembly had this project, this as one of the key projects that to distill the gases and also create lining or line this drain so that whenever it rains, the rain can go through it easily and continue to wherever it goes to. But unfortunately, this project didn't continue. There was a grand endeavor to at least commence this project. The ceremony was held here. The people were excited. Most of them believe that the people who live along these drains were going to be evacuated and the area will be filtered and the flood that is experienced here annually will not come. But unfortunately, it was an unfortunate situation. This wasn't seen to its conclusion, or it didn't end. Now the rains are coming back and we're experiencing similar incidents here along the drain. Yesterday, the last body which we reported was retrieved here, just here within the drain. So many of the people suspect that this is what it's been experienced every year. So it's a possibility that this is another spot that the water took, and now it has been left here by the flood water. So this area, as I said, it's a flat-prone area. It's a flat-prone area. Whenever it rains, no people are unable, or vehicles are unable to go through this bridge you see behind me. You see, of me. So it's a major challenge here at the Abuabo and its environment. Abuabo, as I said, is within the Askarma municipality, and it's one of the areas with high flood whenever it rains. For instance, the 2-year-old toddler who was reported dead due to the recent flood on Wednesday, it happened not far from this area. We are talking about the Sawaba area. Now, there's also another bridge and a drain, a bridge over a drain at Sawaba there. So the part of the bridge it came in the drain itself is also silted, and you have new places of oppose springing up along the drain. Whenever it rains, the similar situation as is happening here occurs there, and now due to the breakage of the bridge, it has compounded the situation. So this is where the toddler, the 2-year-old, died, or this is where he drowned and died, and later the body was also discovered in the area. Last year, similar incidents here in the Askarma municipality, Askarma town to be specific. A family of 4, all of them were taken away by flood water. They were in a container, it drained, it flooded, and they all died. They were taken away in the container and died. So flooding has become a major incident here, or a major situation here with the Askarma municipality. Now, it's been the same script, just that we are having different characters within the script. We are telling the same script with different people or different victims of the flood here in the Kumasi and Askarma to be specific.
Nanaya Njima, reporting there for us and painting the picture for us, the reason we have this. But on Saturday when it rained, Nanaya, take us back. I know that you filed a report, but what was the situation?
Can you please repeat that question?
Nanaya, if you can hear me, I'm asking for you to paint the picture of the last time it rained.
All right, so on Wednesday and Thursday, that was when Kumasi recorded the heaviest of downpour this year. So on that day, within these 2 days, we have a number of communities here in the Kumasi metropolis and also other surrounding MMDAs flooding here in their cities. Now, one of the worst affected areas is the Nishayasu constituency, the Paraku Estate, the Asasuma, Daban, and its environs. These are called first-class residential areas. These are areas that the high and mighty society here in the Ashanti region will love to live in. So whenever anybody has the means, he wants to build within this area. Now, a number of drains or waterways or massive areas in these communities have now been filled up for residential facilities. And this is one of the reasons why the area was among some of the worst affected areas during this period. So many of the homes that I went to, almost 80% of the homes had parts of their walls falling off or breaking down in the area. So it has become a major problem for the people there. Homes that were not flooding before are now flooding because of new homes or new places of abode being built in the waterways. And according to the people, they've made various reports to the Smart Metropolitan Assembly, but the Assembly has failed to make any effort towards ensuring these homes are pulled down. Already, as the NADMO keeps reiterating, they have suggested to the various municipal assemblies, especially the KME, to pull down some houses in waterways. About 300 homes have so far been earmarked for demolition by the NADMO, but authorities are yet to take any proactive measure to ensure that these homes are brought down. And also, the drains within the Ashanti region, for some period, there have been suggestions that these drains are re-engineered to ensure that whenever it rains, the rain gets its path and is able to go through successfully. Now, somewhere about 2 years ago, the former Minister for Works and Health, Honorable Ashanti, was in the region, promising that from what he has seen, the drains within the region will be re-engineered. But he was in office for a number of years. Ashanti region didn't see any improvement after that promise was made. So we are talking about drains which are not serving its purpose, and also people building in waterways, and that has resulted in a number of areas within the Ashanti region getting flooded whenever it rains.
All right, Nanaya Jima, it's such a pain that we continue telling the same story each time it rains. It's so familiar. You can even write your script ahead of next year and you won't get it wrong. My colleague Nanaya Jima telling the story of the Kumasi floods and, you know, reporting live there from Kumasi this morning. Nanaya will leave it here, and let's cross over now and speak to senior forecaster Michael Paddy. Right now, what we can do is to watch out ourselves, really. So if we know the rains are coming down and we know the volumes, then we can take the necessary precautions, right? Okay, so let's find out what Mr. Paddy can tell us. He's a senior forecaster. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for your time here on the AM show.
Good morning and thank you.
Great. Well, the warning on Saturday was on point, really. There was a warning that at about 3 p.m. There will be some showers. Indeed, we had a very long one, and it's the devastating effects of the rains that we've been talking about this morning. But how regular can you give us, you know, such forecasts, Mr. Paddy?
Okay, thank you very much. Let me take this opportunity to extend my greetings to your viewers. Yes, we are in the rainy season, and specifically the peak of the rainy season. So everybody knows that June in Ghana, we used to get so much rains across the country. So conditions are favorable for rains to continue. They will be quite heavy over most places, especially along the coast middle portions. And even the northern sector, storms are expected to be quite violent. So listeners have to be aware of the current situation.
How does the weather look like today?
Today, it will be quite bright and sunny with some cloudy conditions across the country. But in the evening, we expect some storms to affect parts of the northern sector, quite intense across the north. Then also the southern sector will also experience some thundery and rain activities, especially over parts of eastern, the inland areas of Greater Accra, Central, and the Ashanti region.
In the absence of a permanent solution, there are people whose belongings are getting carried away each time when it rains. What are we supposed to do? I mean, do you give us the forecast so we stay indoors only, or take umbrellas with us? I mean, beyond telling us what the weather is, I guess I'm pushing you to give us a certain solution. What are we supposed to do?
Well, what we are supposed to do is to get the public informed of the conditions that are expected. and maybe some other institutions could come in with the kind of solution that will be needed. But I'll advise the general public to stick to the information that the Ghana Meteorological Agency provides and use them in managing their daily activities. I think when they do that, it will help reduce the impact of some of these fatalities.
The forecast that you just shared with us by way of how it would look like today, when you said it's largely going to be dry, but later on in the evening there may be some storms, is that what the weekly picture is? Because I know you can tell from where you sit for the entire week. What should we be prepared for?
Currently, satellite imagery or information from the satellite indicated some quite active storms over Nigeria, stretching across Nigeria. So such systems are expected to move westwards to affect the country later in the afternoon. And they are expected to be quite active over the northern sector. And parts of the middle portions and the southern sector of the country are expected to benefit from this approach of these active systems.
You know, when things are changing, because I know that sometimes people don't take very seriously what the Ghana Meteorological Service says, because there are times that the situation changes. So are we likely to see a change? Is what you've shared with us definite?
Yes, quite dependable. And I'll advise that people stick to this kind of information. We have made thorough research before coming out with this information. So today, during the day, this morning, we expect the entire country to be quite bright and sunny in the afternoon. But later in the evening, as I said, these approaching storms will induce cloudiness over most places over the country to produce some thunderstorms and winds.
All right, Mr. Paddy, we thank you very much for your time with us and sharing the forecast, as we will experience it later today. They gave us the warning on Saturday, by the way, but how many of us took that serious? Because we've been making jokes sometimes. We say that, oh, even when they give us the weather update, it doesn't happen. But there are many times that it does, just like on Saturday. And so if you know, then you can prevent it, or you can do something to protect yourself and your property as well. But I think it's better to be careful than to say, oh, they say it and nothing happens. So you've been told, Mr. Paddy is a senior forecaster with the Ghana Meteorological Agency, and he says that later in the afternoon, so largely this morning, if you're in Accra, it's going to be dry, but later in the afternoon and towards the evening, we could see some storms, and he's quite definite about that. So if you see the update there in Aflao, partly cloudy this morning, in the afternoon, sunny, and then it will be partly cloudy in the evening. But Accra, that's the storm that he talks about, 40%. Yep. And then in Kaswa as well, similar situation in Accra, Kaswa. Cape Coast is quite different, similar to that of Aflao. In Takrade, it's misty throughout the morning, sunny and partly cloudy in the evening. In Axim, same situation. And then Ho as well. There will be some rains they are predicting later this afternoon in Ho. In Koforidua, expect some storms in the afternoon, and then it will be partly cloudy later in the evening in Akimoda. Later this afternoon, possible, there could be rains. In Kumasi, again, the same. And if you look at the pattern, we could be having rains from the afternoon throughout the evening in Kumasi. So you've got to be extremely careful if you're in Kumasi, and if you witness what has happened over the days, then you have to take the necessary precautions. In Obuasi later this afternoon, there could be rains, and then it would be cloudy in the evening. In Takwa, rains later in the evening, cloudy this morning, well, misty, they say, in Sefiba, quite cloudy, sunny intervals, and later in the evening, possible rains, Ketekratchi. No rains, I don't see, but get ready, it's going to be a little cold in Kintampo. Same situation in Sonyai. There could be rains later in the evening in Techiman. No rains we see, but it's going to be a little cold in Yendi. Same situation. Tamale, no rains. I don't see any rains in Bole, Damongo, Bogatanga, Nalerugu, and Wa. But they say it could be partly cloudy later in the evening. So now you know how the weather looks like. Just identify where you are and see what the predictions are, and then take the necessary precautions. You've been warned. All right, that's our conversation on the floods and the weather today.